Hi everyone, welcome back to The Feel Between. I'm Yasmin.
My name is Ahmed.
And we're excited to be back. I think it's been over a month since we've done just an episode with the two of us.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Or is it 2 months? It's at least a month.
Yeah, and we're trying a new format that makes it easier to kind of plan where we take turns leading episodes.
Yes.
So this is a Yasmin episode.
Don't give feedback until we get the hang of it. How are we, Ahmed?
Good. We're getting ready to move. We did last sort of cafe event and bought a bunch of boxes, and now we have to fill them.
Right. We haven't done the filling part yet.
Yeah.
But we made a lot of plans. We figured out where we're putting stuff. We got a storage unit. We hired movers. So basically all that's left really is to put things in boxes and chase down people who said they would come take our stuff, which we really deeply appreciate. We just hope that they come through.
Yeah. Time is running out.
Yeah, let's see. It's May 13th as of recording this. We're leaving on the 29th. So we've got like 16
I'm gone
days.
Next week.
I know. I'm going to try and... Do we have the tape for the boxes?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and do some packing while you're gone.
It's advisable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you feeling about the move?
I feel good. I think it'll be fun. I'm just nervous about getting the cat there.
Aw, you care about her so much. She's a sweetie. She'll be all right. It's like one of those things that's like stressful day up, but then it's like a Band-Aid. Like then she's with us, and overall it's so much better for her to be with us than not. So
yeah,
it'll be good. And I think we've done some good troubleshooting about like how to get stuff already into the apartment over there and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. I feel remarkably at peace. I feel like this is the most relaxed I've felt. Not relaxed, but the most just kind of steady I've felt in a long time, which is really nice. I think part of it is I feel like a little honeymoon feeling of like being with you after being away for a long time, and that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't know, I feel like we've both been kind of intentional on like working on some stuff lately, and I feel in a decent place. In spite of things being not great, globally and nationally. I don't know. You don't feel that way? I feel like we've both been like working on some self-improvement stuff, and I feel like we're just in a good groove with a lot of things in spite of all the transition that's happening.
How have you been improving? I'm not saying you haven't. Just what's
I don't know. I've been like working out regularly. I feel like I've got a good balance of alone time and seeing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah. I feel like I did a lot of really getting closer to my family while I was gone. That makes me feel really centered.
It's true. I've been also trying to just get back to working out more now that I'm in less pain overall. So that's been nice.
Yeah, that's a huge change.
I'm trying to I'm working a lot lately.
I know. You got to keep up the work hard, play hard.
Still trying to do stuff outside of work.
I feel like you're doing it, but it's always a hard balance for sure when you just like the sheer amount of hours.
We are the proud new owners of a PlayStation 5.
By we mean Ahmed, because I'm not capable of playing PlayStation, unfortunately.
Trying to rescue my uncle from Mongol savages. In 13th century Japan.
The Mongols were great. I actually didn't know that the Mongols invaded Japan, so you're learning from the game.
I don't know if how accurate this game is. I think the Mongols tried to invade Japan, but they were beaten back by the samurai, and also their ships got taken out by like the kamikaze.
Damn. Please fact check us if you're listening.
Yeah. Oh, nice. No, I looked it up.
You did?
We got the game, I was like, did the Mongols invade Japan? But it seems like they tried and they were thwarted because of the typhoons and stuff.
Got it. So see, you're learning. That's great.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a very special day.
Payday. 1st and 15th, baby. No, 15th and
Tomorrow's
last.
the 14th.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tomorrow is the 14th.
Yeah.
That's right. What does that mean?
What do you think? It's almost payday.
It's almost payday. That's right.
Yeah. And it's also our 4-year wedding anniversary.
Oh my God. Wait, no, is that right?
Yeah.
Was it on 14th? Oh, the second one was 24th.
Right. But we go by the first one because that's when we got
right.
like legally married and Islamically married.
Yeah.
The second one was really fun. They were both meaningful in different ways. The second one was like a party, essentially. We'd already been married for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah. So 14th is our actual anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to a museum. We're going to dinner. Should be fun. Get a little dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
Eat some French food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe it's been 4 years?
It feels shorter.
I
But
think
also
so too.
like
We've done a lot though. Like a
also-
lot has changed in 4 years.
yeah, when I think back to like, oh, we started dating during like pandemic. Pandemic seems so far in the rearview mirror now. It's like
Right.
this other like period of time that just feels like a history textbook now.
Yeah.
So when I think back to that, I'm like, wow, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Like your style's totally different now. I was looking at older photos of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's cool. I think because I
Finally
hadn't
found a good men's clothing store.
because I hadn't been in many. I liked your style then. I think also like, you know, what we wear is reflective of what is in trend at the time, you know.
Mm.
But I think you always appeared pretty like fashion forward to me. I feel like it's one of those like truisms you can't really know until you've lived it, and I hadn't lived it before, but it is cool how much the person you are with just changes. Like that kind of stops it from being boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also kind of weird.
Do you think I'm more swagged out now or then?
You've always been a bougie boy, but I think that, I mean, both of us always talk about like we found our interior design taste together.
Mm.
So like things like that, I guess, are more elevated. I don't know. I like to think we're both like better versions of ourselves than before we met, but I think we already were pretty great before then.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't think everyone needs to self-actualize through relationships, but I think I've found it helpful and nice.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people doing really cool things, single, you know, living their lives. But I think it has been special and I'm grateful to do it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Same. It's been crazy. I feel like we have done a lot.
We've moved a ton. We moved states.
Well, we also did a bunch of events together.
So many
a lot of
events.
community stuff.
I mean, you started Caravanserai like while we were dating, but it really took off more after we got married.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've done that.
It's a lot
in 2
easier to do
states.
after getting married. I just feel like so much stuff is easier to do after getting married.
Me too, honestly.
You know?
I think it's because you have like a teammate essentially, which
Quit
is
my
really
job.
helpful. Yeah, you quit your job. That was huge.
You got a job.
I got a job. I got a PhD. I got a job. Yeah. A lot of stuff.
I worked
Anyway.
at Apple
Yeah, I know.
for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. But yeah, that was pretty surprising. We traveled to Egypt. That was really big.
Yeah.
You hadn't been since you left when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Went to Mexico. I want to travel more. That's on my bucket list. I'm going to San Francisco, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I booked Yosemite. That's good.
Oh, nice. How much was it?
Should I say?
Yeah.
It's like $350 a night, but we don't
Oof.
get charged until we go, except for the first night we get charged ahead of time. That's it.
Damn.
Yeah. $350 a night, and we're not in the park. We're like 20 minutes outside, but pretty close.
It better be good.
I think it's going to be incredible. I'm so excited. The only thing I'm worried about is if the fires are really bad. But we're still pretty far.
Roast some marshmallows.
Yeah. And also we're going like in September, and I think fire season is usually the summer, but so yeah, should be good. Yeah.
Do we have like fire season insurance on what's the situation?
Nah, I think if
We gotta go?
Yeah, I think you just go. I mean, like, I think the worst that can happen is it might like look a little smoky or not as, you know. We might feel the fire in San Francisco though for fire season. Like that might be more of a thing. I mean, people just live through it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And that's another big thing. I can't believe we're moving to San Francisco. I never would have guessed that. I'm so excited.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
I think the only thing I feel nervous about is like nailing the like where do we go when we're back. But I'm like it'll figure itself out. We're like chipping away at it. We're looking at places.
Yeah. We looked at a house that we thought would be really good for hosting, but man, they really
This
take
camera
advantage
angles,
of that wide angle on
they're
the camera
insane.
lenses. Yeah.
100%. They're actually crazy. It's like this is like actually fictitious, this photo.
Like
yeah.
I think we were both head over heels for this place. I mean, the price was
You always were a little bit more than me, but I liked it. I found it initially. Yeah.
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 And after seeing it in person, it's just kind of
Overpriced.
feel a little tepid on it.
Yeah, overpriced for what it is.
I like it. I mean, I like it.
I think you also still like it a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, we'll keep looking.
Yeah.
A lot to consider in terms of like hosting and also like
Much to consider.
Growing a family and all that. Yeah.
Yes, we have to grow a family.
Yeah, we do. Inshallah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we're late on that?
I was just thinking about that. I don't think so. I was actually talking to a friend about this at lunch. I was like, I feel like we both grew a lot individually and together. And I feel like happy and confident in the timing for us. Like, yes, some of my friends have kids and I look at them and you just can't do everything at once, you know? I did a lot of other stuff. So.
Have you counted your eggs recently?
No, I have chosen not to get testing. Like I thought about it and chose not to do it. I don't want to know. I feel
like this is embarrassing, but when I just like never thought about, I didn't know that women were born with like a number of eggs.
It is kind of weird, isn't it?
You just lose your eggs over time. I feel like it's like a Yoshi thing to do.
Is that a Pokemon?
No, it's like Mario. I don't know. Doesn't he collect eggs or something?
No, it is weird. When my mom first told me about sex, apparently I laughed. She was like, there are eggs in us. And I was like, that sounds like, because I thought it sounded so stupid.
It's so crazy.
I thought she was like making a joke and she was like, I guess you're not ready. And she tried again in a few years.
Women are just walking around dropping eggs.
But what's also weird, okay, this might be biologically incorrect, my bad, but does that mean that like if I have a daughter, at some point I'm carrying two generations, like I have my eggs and she has her eggs in her?
I think so.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I think I haven't gotten tested because I think by the time we start trying, it will probably be okay, inshallah. And if it's not, we'll figure it out. I just kind of didn't want to like, I would rather just get there when we get there. And I think it's important to both of us. And so however it happens, there's lots of different paths to being a parent, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Kidnapping.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
No, but I feel good about it. And I feel good about like we both are pretty secure and comfortable in our jobs and all these things. I mean, there's a reason why people are having kids later for many people. And it's because stability is hard to find in this country. Not that you need to be economically stable to have a kid. Like people make things work all sorts of ways. But yeah.
That's true. People do make things work in subpar situations. And I think people are resilient. But I do also think it's true that generally in people's like conscious, they do feel the precarity, and a lot of people do go from like, oh, everything's so uncertain, I don't want to have a family, which I think that's
why birth rates are down in the U.S. for sure. Is uncertainty.
I think it's mistaken logic, but I also can like understand why people would come to that conclusion. It's sad.
And it's so many other things too. Like we live far away from our families, and like a lot of people don't have larger social networks to support, and all of that has ramifications for kids, you know?
Right.
A lot of the things that would like make it easier to have kids would make society better, you know? Like stronger social networks and better social services. And yeah, it's not easy to game that all out.
A different amount of guns.
Yeah.
It can either be more or fewer, but it can't be the same.
You think more is going to do the trick? It's going to make us safer?
All I know is that it's got to be a different number of guns than exist today.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, I mean, there's already more guns than people. Maybe if we make the ratio higher.
If we had like 10 times as many guns.
To people?
Yeah.
I don't know what the ratio is.
10 times as many guns, period.
Oh, as we do right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might do it. God, that
could be interesting.
Yeah, I can't even think about. I just ignore.
Yeah.
I saw like a silly Instagram reel thing, but it really stuck with me. This woman was like living abroad in Copenhagen over the summer, and people were asking her like, oh, what are the differences? And she said like, you're not aware of how often you think about in a crowd someone could have a gun. And I'm like, that's true. I think about that all the fucking time. That's crazy. People walk around not thinking that in other countries.
I think about it every time in a movie theater.
Yeah. I think about it on campus.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of places.
Someone just, like,
was giving me a weird look today in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I thought about it for like a split second. Like, yeah. It's pretty common to think about.
I'd like to be the guy with the gun, you know?
No.
Make other people think about it.
But they wouldn't know you. What, you'd be open carrying?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That seems safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It
Anything
could be
else?
the video game talking, but I feel like we should all go back to carrying
I
swords.
think it's you've wanted a sword for so long.
Right.
All right. Anything else before we get into it?
What are we talking about today?
Do you have any smaller items? We're going to be talking about Pakistan. I've got 2 larger items, but would be happy to start out with some smaller items before we get to the larger ones, and then Pakistan's craziness.
Let me go to my. I have to biometrically authenticate Instagram now.
Does that help slow you down? We've both been doing better with technology lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think just kind of like checking in on the U.S.
General
war
check-in
in Iran. I just feel
yeah.
like the headlines recently have just been the New York Times reported that like 30 of 33 of Iran's military bases are like totally still functional.
Yeah.
Which is a counter to the story and the narrative that the Trump administration has been peddling, which is that they've totally decimated Iran, and that
They've announced Iran's total decimation so many times.
Yeah, and that Iran begged for this ceasefire, and I think we discussed it already, but it's like we went into this thing being like, we're going to destroy Iran, we're going to get regime change, and then that didn't work, and then Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz, and then we were like, okay, the goal of this war is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which was open
not an issue
prior
previously.
to the war, but
Yeah.
now, okay, that's our new goal. And then they couldn't do that, and now the goal is to block the Strait of Hormuz, I guess, more than Iran is blocking it. So I guess we're doing that, but then that seems to have not gone great. And now it's just kind of like in this weird stalemate. And we're trying to pass it off like we're winning and that they're trying to get a deal. But like it seems like every step of negotiation, Iran is just like sticking to the points that it like offered originally. Like they don't want to let go of anything. I think the most major concession they made was some period of not enriching uranium to a certain level.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they're just like, yeah, you're getting essentially the Obama deal.
It feels very Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Like every day it's like, oh, the Strait, this, that. It feels very repetitive and just like drudgery. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's an existential threat for Iran. Of course, they're not going to back down. Like their terrible regime, like has to have control. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So given that we have been unable to destroy the IRGC, and it seems like it is still functioning, and not only just functioning, but functioning well. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's embarrassing. It's like so embarrassing. And the thing that really gets me is just that the lies are just like so obvious, and like the degree to which they, or actually, I don't know, the kind of way that Rubio and Hegseth has kind of been absent lately. I wonder what's going on there. But
It's probably busy drinking.
even Trump is like, they're just done talking about it. And they want to talk about ballroom.
Right.
And no one's even talking about the assassination attempt. And it's just like, oh, this is just like normal.
I think a certain degree
We're
of
always
political,
at war and we're always trying to kill the president.
That's exactly right. A certain degree of political violence in general with the president, but also like with other people as well. Like I feel like I totally forgot that those 2 Democrats, was it in Minnesota? I don't even remember where they were killed like, what was it, a year ago? See, I don't remember any of the
like a year
details,
and a
which is
half ago,
insane.
maybe
That
2
should have
years.
like really like rocked my consciousness.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of political violence has become super normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw this clip of Marco Rubio and I was just like, wow, they're not even trying anymore. But also they just like, I think the defeat is starting to sink in where they just kind of don't know what to say.
If Iran tries to normalize a control of an international waterway, I think that's unacceptable. My point is, if you fire at a U.S. Navy ship, what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, there's a ceasefire, we're not going to shoot down your drone. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid position to take. Of course we fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect to do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at, and we're not a stupid country.
I just love this. He's like, we're not a stupid country. Only stupid countries don't fire back at countries that shoot at them. So, I mean, the obvious point to make is that obviously by those standards, Iran is not a stupid country. Who's the stupid person here? Like, there's no one stupid in this war. Like,
he does sound exhausted. You're right. It's like he's bored also.
Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of also totally been sidelined in foreign policy.
I think it's going to be between him and Vance for like the next, unless we get Trump.
That's what people are speculating.
Yeah, unless we get Trump like 3 times, which God forbid might actually happen, honestly. At this point,
I think
it'll be Rubio or Vance, if not in terms of Republican candidate.
It'll be interesting to see how the midterms shake out, because I think the MAGA base is certainly fired up, and they're just like piggies who love whatever is going on and everything that Trump does, no matter how, like, on one day he's doing A and then day 2 he's contradicting A, and both are the best thing he's ever done, and they're like part of some larger plan. And honestly, these people are just like lumpen proletariat, and they're morons who just like go with him on whatever. It's a minority of voters, but it's like
it is a minority,
strong enough
but they're crazy.
Segment.
Yeah, for sure.
I think like your typical Republicans, honestly, what I see now are Democrats just kind of filling the role of Republican, which is not surprising. And then there are some Republicans who are just like, depending on how the midterms go, may turn on Trump.
I mean, the thing now, I think that the midterms were more of a sure deal, but the South just got gerrymandered to shit again.
Right.
And now it's just like a gerrymander race to the bottom. So I don't know what it will look like. I mean, they took away quite a few. That precedent will take away quite a few voting districts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think the Democrats will probably still win, but the margin is not going to be as high as it may have been.
Right.
I mean, even aside from like all this awfulness that's happening right now, usually an incumbent president, like if the president in power is Democrat, usually the Republicans pick up and vice versa.
Right.
In the midterm. So, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read any analysis on how many seats they stand to pick up from the gerrymandering.
I think a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The other thing, actually, I wanted to mention a couple of other things that I've read. I guess I won't read anything specific, but I think it's Josh Gottheimer and maybe another Democrat who are taking the line of, they're being interviewed about Palestine, and I guess in relation to upcoming elections and things like that. And they're like, do you think this is a genocide? That's being asked more and more. And it seems like the Democrat line now is that this is a genocide. It's Netanyahu. It's not necessarily Israel. And I don't take money from AIPAC, but maybe I'll take money from like JFed or other J Street or whatever, wherever else the Zionist money is going, right? Like they're just like trying to distance themselves from this without like really distancing themselves from it. But like there are some people who are coming out and being like, I've heard the tagline recently of, oh, this is like a new litmus test that they're trying to create, that, and because it's a litmus test, I'm just going to call it out and not respond because litmus tests are bad. I've heard, like, I think Josh Gottheimer and others in interviews be like, I'm not going to respond to this.
They won't genocide. They won't respond to, is this a genocide?
Right. They won't respond to a question about Palestine.
That's really stupid.
Because they're like, oh, this is the new litmus test because of like, what's his name? Hassan Piker and all these anti-Semites and whatever.
They're so obsessed with Hassan Piker.
They're very obsessed with Hassan Piker. But, and it's, I mean, it's frankly like embarrassing, and that no one actually calls them out on it. Yeah, like we need to have litmus tests for representatives. Like just saying it's a litmus test and being like and assuming that people are going to think it's bad is like such a stupid soundbite.
Yeah. I feel like you're kind of saying two different things though, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you started by saying like this is a thing people are doing to pay lip service, but now I guess now I'm understanding you better. What you're actually saying is like some people aren't even doing that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is crazy. You would think that this is such a basic baseline. It's not even where everyone should be.
Yeah.
It should be like, yeah, that's crazy.
They're kind of doubling down. Like I just haven't heard anything from Democrats or Democratic leadership. It's surprising. Like you think they would have gotten pulled a little bit more left on this issue because
after getting their asses handed
they
to them,
had
yeah.
that poll also that they did internally that shows that Kamala Harris lost because of this issue.
Or at least that it was a large factor. Yeah.
And they're about to like hand it to the Republicans again because they haven't changed any positions. They haven't cleaned house and abandoned these like, frankly, like cement blocks around their ankles, who like Josh Gottheimer and a bunch of other like just Zionists who care more about Israel than they do about the US. But they're being outflanked by Republicans on anti-Semitism. Like Democrats are doubling down and being like, yes, these leftists, Hassan Piker, anyone who's pro-Palestine is an anti-Semite. Whereas the kind of fringe right-wing Republicans, the one kind of sane point they're making is, why is it bad to critique the state of Israel?
I mean, I think
in
to
the
be
US?
fair, I think it's a fringe on both sides. Like, I don't mean fringe in a negative sense for the fringe left, but I think it's the far left and far right that are comfortable critiquing.
But the far
Israel.
right has a lot more control of its mainstream than the left does of the Democratic Party.
But by far right, do you mean like kind of like media personalities? Because I can't really think of anyone who's far right and has substantial power. I mean, Trump is essentially far right, but he's very pro-Israel.
I mean, I guess
Like Tucker
like
Carlson's,
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
she's out of power
Tucker
though.
Carlson.
She's out of office.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess they have been pushed out, but I do feel like the message is resonating a lot more. Yeah, I don't know. You think it's equal on both sides? You think on those edges?
Yeah, and I think that speaks more to kind of the shame of the Democrats that they are so essentially Republican. Mm-hmm. That the center is like so homogenous ultimately in so many ways. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
It will. Last thing, I read this piece now that I've set up Libby through the library. I subscribe to all these different magazines, one of them being this, I think it's The Spectator. It's like this British right-wing magazine.
Oh God.
And there was,
wait, why'd you subscribe to that? Just to see?
Yeah. And there was a piece by Roger Stone about like Laura Loomer.
Uh-huh.
And the gist of the piece is he talks about, it's like Laura Loomer was a friend. She's like this bright person whose advice and counsel was like sought after, and like we had all these great discussions, but somewhere along the way she lost her way. And actually she's the one who is responsible somehow. They're trying to pin the Iran war on her. Like she
single-handedly got it started.
That was honestly like the gist of the article, is that she's like the mastermind and she like told Trump to bomb Iran, and now she's out, but like the damage is done.
Wait, I don't remember what she does.
She was just kind of like an advisor.
She didn't like have an official position, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. And she kind of looks like Maureen Ponderosa from It's Always Sunny.
Nice.
But I wonder if that's like a shot at the bow, you know what I'm saying? Like where they're like, we're going to try this here and then see if it gets like goes. Mainstream traction. Like I wonder if in a couple of weeks we're going to like be hearing that Laura Loomer is actually the architect behind the Iran war and Trump didn't want to do it.
I feel like that would be too stupid for anyone to get interested in. Yeah, but honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. I feel like they're going to have to do anything to distance themselves from this disaster.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Nice. All right, I got 2 items before we move on to our big discussion. Mm-hmm. The first is, look at this beautiful building. No, Astaghfirullah.
This is Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Yeah. This is Epstein.
That's the synagogue that was on it, right?
He called it a mosque.
But it was a synagogue.
No.
No?
It was a building called a mosque. It
What
was
was
just
in
like,
it?
oh, we'll get into it.
Oh.
Super weird. So this is a New York Times article. Epstein obtained objects from Islam's holiest site for his island, quote, mosque. I'll just read a little bit from it. Tapestries embroidered with Quranic verses were shipped from the Kaaba in Mecca, Islam's holiest shrine. Tiles came from a mosque in Uzbekistan. A golden metal dome was made to replicate the architecture of ancient Syria. And just going down a bit, through connections that extended into the royal court of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Epstein secured a meeting with Mohammed bin Salman, now the Saudi crown prince, and also obtained elaborate tapestries that once adorned the sacred spaces inside the Kaaba and covered its exterior walls.
This is the kiswa that he got with the help of like one of the sultan in Emirat, right? Like this is
Yeah, so I think that actually the Saudi guy may have helped him get that. I'm not sure. And there was also a woman who came up, but here
Right.
it mentions Sultan Ahmed bin Suleiman, a prominent Emirati executive,
Yep.
who helped him get like certain tapestries and stuff. He actually had to resign,
Yes.
which is more than we can say for things that have been happening here.
Yeah.
He was the head of a Dubai ports company. But yeah, okay, so this is obviously like really dark and awful.
And I think the woman was the head of some like feminist
No,
like,
really.
Arab
Wait,
world.
fact check that, because that's very upsetting. That
No,
better
I
be
remember
true.
looking it up. But
Okay.
does it say her name on this?
No, she's not mentioned that I can remember. But I wanted to just like, okay, some of the stuff is like beautiful. Like, I think the reason why I found it's not funny, it's awful, it's upsetting, and we'll get into why. I found it kind of funny because I've been thinking a lot about like self-orientalizing and like, you know, that there can be something kind of beautiful about taking things out of context and making them their own. And when I read this article, I was just like, oh, I guess there are still some limits to like aesthetic orientalism. And like, I mean, obviously the limits are like when a pedophile, awful person is using them. But it's interesting. Like, it's not interesting, it's awful, but I think it's so weird that he still called it a mosque and that people just referred to it that way. It is kind of tapping into like an older aesthetic tradition. People don't really do that anymore.
I think I remember listening to something about his broader like art collection and some of the things that he did in his New York mansion and the other types of arts that he would collect. And I think it was like a real art critic who was kind of talking about it, so it was interesting. But it's kind of this thing where it's very surface level, and he just had the money and he's able to collect all these pieces and do this thing where he's like trying to be edgy. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to kind of troll a little bit. Like he bought a statue of like some woman, like a feminine statue from some artist, and I can't remember the name, but like he hung the woman in the like entrance or the foyer or something of his New York townhome and dressed her up like a bride, and it was like then called the Hanging Bride. And it's just like
Trying
kind
to
of
be
gaudy,
clever, yeah.
gauche, tacky. Like there's no deep appreciation for any art. And so I think his whole thing is like, I'm going to collect this and devalue it.
He might have had an appreciation for it. I don't know.
You think
I mean,
he had an appreciation for Islam?
no, but I feel like, I don't know. I sometimes hesitate to make the argument that like bad people, like I don't know that art is so pure. You know what I mean? That like only people who are pure of heart can appreciate it. I wish that was true.
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that Jeffrey Epstein specifically is not a deep individual.
No, of course not. But I don't
Like he tried to fancy himself an intellectual, but
Yeah.
apparently one thing he would constantly like, he would bring together, hold court with like all these people, like mathematicians, astrophysicists,
Oh yeah, he's
or
in touch
whatever.
with so many professors. Yeah.
And he was known kind of for like listening to someone's like lecture on a thing or point on a thing, and then after he'd be like, what's that got to do with pussy? Like that's the thing he would say.
It really shows how much people, this is like an old quote actually from a movie I love from Fiddler on the Roof, like when you're rich they think you really know. Like it, I mean, which is obviously a quote that people say in a lot of different contexts, but it just kind of shows like how much people kind of ascribe knowledge to wealth and status.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to like speculate as to like why the mosque specifically, because like I think you're right. Just probably he could kind of investigate any sort of interest that he had because he had the money and resources to do so. It is really weird that so many people who identify as Muslims and who are from Muslim majority contexts like gave him access to those things, knowing that it would be in such close proclamation to like really awful things that were happening.
Yeah.
And specifically like things from the Kaaba is like very upsetting. And I think just kind of goes back to more like I don't want to speak for you, but I think what is our shared kind of conviction that like here on this earth, the Kaaba is a sacred site, but like the way it's currently being run doesn't make it a sacred site in this lifetime. Yeah.
I think, I think it's honestly just an attempt to like be somewhat pornographic. And I think he's trying to take this holy thing that is revered by a lot of people around the world, people he has no respect for. And he's like, I own this and I'm going to pervert it. And
I'm sure he had respect for the king of Saudi as like a fellow awful fucking individual, you know? As much as he respect anyone. Yeah.
I mean, but they were probably linked through some like sex trafficking.
Right.
And like
Absolutely.
there was like a relationship around that. And that's why they like bought in. I don't know if they, I mean, who knows, right?
No,
maybe,
for sure.
Maybe
I agree.
he felt warmly toward Jeffrey Epstein as well. And that's why they allowed it. But even just kind of like being linked through child sex trafficking is.
I really think that there should be a larger boycott movement against Saudi. Like I think that everyone should not go on Hajj for a year just to kind of make them feel the impact of that and like the shame of that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's been like discuss, thankfully, but I haven't seen anything organized as a reaction to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it them or Emirat recently who expelled like all their Pakistani Shia workers?
The UAE has been doing that.
That's right.
Saudi actually has like a Shia Saudi population that's pretty suppressed, but lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been like a weird kind of tit for tat thing where like, yeah.
But anyway, sorry. Any more on this mosque?
No, that's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was very odd, but sort of interesting.
Is the stuff like, where is it now?
That's a great question. I don't know. Yeah. Like where does it go? No idea.
And maybe it just is now owned by the U.S. government, I suppose.
Great. Another sacrilegious site.
Yeah.
Okay, this article I thought was so dumb and frustrating, but I feel like it points to a real issue of framing. This is a Times article called "What Are Teen Takeovers and Why Are Police Struggling to Stop Them?" This whole article is about the phenomenon, essentially, I'll spare you reading it, of teens gathering in public spaces and being loud.
Yeah.
Now, there are some examples of like teens pulling guns, teens pulling knives. Obviously, that's a little more high stakes. But a lot of it is just about like noise complaints. And like, I think that there is, the only credit I'll give this article is I think that like making videos for TikTok and kind of prank culture can lead to more of kind of a like takeover, maybe more of an accurate word, in that like people are sort of more coordinated in a way that like 30 years ago, maybe if you weren't filming a video, you wouldn't appear like to like all converge on a scene. That was the only. Are they
taking over and pranking people? What's going on?
It was all over the lot, but it was mostly just sounded like kind of like roving groups of teens that were bored, which is like a immortal phenomenon. And I just, part of like what was being suggested in this article were curfews, which I just am so deeply against and I find so deeply un-American and upsetting.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy that like a city can decide how late your kid is out. I don't have a kid yet, but one thing I've thought about a lot is like the lack of independence for children nowadays and how closely monitored they are, and everyone has different styles and I'm respecting of that. But it's crazy like how much less time kids spend alone outside. And it's crazy that if you choose to let like your kid walk to the grocery store 2 blocks from your house and come back, that could be seen as like bad parenting. And it's crazy to me that like you could have a teenager that is out at night. Like that's my choice as a parent. Like what happened to like freedom of parenting and freedom of choice and like don't teach my kids about gay sex. Like, okay, but they can tell your kids it can't be outside at 8 p.m. That's crazy.
Right.
And by our house, there's a little square that is trying to institute a curfew apparently.
I need him to go get milk and engage in open air drug use.
Right. That's my choice as a parent. No, but really, I do feel like not the open air drug use, but I feel like it is your choice as a parent. How like teens are not children; they're teenagers, and they deserve some responsibilities, and that deserves to be negotiated within your household. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very nanny state.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Growing up in New York, we obviously didn't have a curfew, but I've met met two people who grew up in towns with curfews that the entire town set, and there would be like a little like siren sound that went off to announce the curfew.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was the curfew for Market Square by our house?
Yes, actually, so we did talk about this, but not on the podcast, but you and I spoke. I think it was in the PGH city paper, but same thing happened, right? So the city spent, a year plus renovating Market Square. It looks the same.
It really does. It's kind of crazy.
But I think they are promising that a bunch of stuff underground that needed to be fixed was fixed. So I kind of have to just take their word on it.
Hopefully that's the case.
And then it reopened, and now like a lot of teenagers are gathering there. And I think it's relevant to the story. A lot of those teenagers are Black. And like after school, you and I walk through there on the way to the gym and back home. Or if we're just like out for a walk, it's close to where we live. And there's just like a lot of them. And it's like rowdy. It's a rambunctious environment, but it's like they're kids. I don't feel unsafe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sure, as like a mid-30s
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm like, oh, fun
I'm not
time.
like trying to hang out there.
Yeah, 100%.
But like, I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe these kids. Like they've never bothered me.
No.
It seems like they're having fun. It honestly seems convenient because it's like if you are wondering where your kid is, you know that they're there with like a lot of people around and they're being like observed. But apparently like the city doesn't like that. And so there was this article in the PGH city paper about them wanting to implement these like quote temporary new curfew for specifically Market Square so that anyone under 18 needs to be accompanied by a 21-year-old, which like joked with a friend that it's a curfew, but it's also like promoting age gap relationships with like teenagers.
Oh no.
Potentially. It's so stupid. And if you read the justification in the paper, it's just the language is so racially coded.
It is in this article also.
Yeah.
And I will say not so much from the author's perspective, but like in people that are quoted, because they're mostly talking about like Latino and Black kids, like they are. Yeah. And I think like, I don't know. I think the price of being in a society is being inconvenienced by children and teens. Like it just is like, there should be more teens and children in public space. And then we should kind of also create services to accommodate and keep those groups busy and support them. But that's just what it means to be, I think, in a community. You can't just lop off a whole section of your population.
Yeah.
And you especially can't do that and then expect them to be like well-adjusted adults if they can't like go outside and socialize.
Yeah.
There's also, I've seen this kind of in my teaching, there's a huge lag in socialization post-COVID. And it is really important for people to be outside in groups together when they like miss 2 years of middle school at this point, or like 3 years of high school, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really offensive and annoying. And like you said, like whenever I see a large group of teens, I'm not like, yay, let's go hang out, like, you know, but I also feel like it's their right to be together and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the paywall in the other paper, but this is from, I guess, the local CBS. Large crowds of juveniles have become a problem in the newly renovated Market Square. At times, the large gatherings have blocked traffic, causing issues for businesses and patrons. I will say one of the renovations of Market Square was like, so it used to have like raised sidewalks. And then there was like kind of a roundabout, like cars could go through. And now they have made the area where cars go through and where pedestrians walk exactly on the same level.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Which is so stupid. And I'm like, cars don't actually need to cut through Market Square.
Yeah, they don't.
It should just be like a massive pedestrian square.
That would be so fun. You're right.
So like good on them for blocking traffic. Like you should reroute the traffic to go around Market Square. It's insane. Like because now it's even like more unsafe because cars are just like going through. There's no delineation between where the sidewalk is and like where cars go. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so I honestly don't blame them for maybe even accidentally blocking traffic because who knows where the cars are supposed to go.
Right. I grew up in a city where like I started commuting alone to school at the end of 6th grade. So when I was like 11, going on 12. And it was such a deep joy to like have the city as my backyard and to get to like wander around with my friends. Like we did absolutely nothing. We literally walked around for hours all of high school. And it was really fun. And I feel like we were really like better off for it. And I'm sure we were annoying, frankly. Like we would buy very little, but we still bought stuff at businesses. We would sit for hours. We would just move around and walk around. But like, I don't know. I miss that kind of version of New York where like it felt like that was accessible in a way.
Yeah.
It still is somewhat, but yeah, I feel like all cities should kind of be like that.
I like this like last quote. I guess they interviewed a young person, 21. It's a little extreme, I'm not going to lie, for Market Square. I feel like they should make it for kids and add stuff for kids to do instead of kicking them out at a certain time, which I'm like, that's genius. I mean, like how could they not think of that, right?
Yeah.
It's just, if you want a different space or if you want it to have a different vibe, then program it.
Right. Create things that are interesting for the teens. Yeah, absolutely.
Do things instead of exclude people from it. And like all we know is fucking like they hired private security to stand at all 6 intersections.
And just be
so
there.
we're paying some like stupid ass private security firm
to do that. I hope the skate park they just added, I hope that's like relatively accessible. That would be fun for teens, I think.
I mean, I think that's temporary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
And it's also, have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
It's so tiny.
I don't really know what skate park's supposed to look like, but I guess it's not that large.
It's not really a skate park. It's like a mini skating rink.
Right.
So it's like a
rollerblading rink.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't really comfortably have more than 10 people in there at a time.
Oh, really? Is it that small?
It's
that's
small.
Incredibly stupid if that's the case.
I mean, they certainly do have more than 10 people in there at a time, but it's just like
not comfortable.
Everyone's going super slow. It's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also like I was looking at the comments for the Times article and people were picking up on this. And I totally agree. It's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing for teens. There's been so many other articles of like teens are antisocial and they're not hanging out and they're not buying food. And like, it's like, okay. And now they are hanging out. It's also a problem, you know? Yeah. Let the kids hang out.
I was at a coffee shop recently and as I was walking in, there were these like 2 young teenage girls who are like seemed to be walking in. One of them came in and got something like some napkins or something, but then went back outside. And as I was ordering from where I'm standing with the like person taking my order, you could see outside the window of the cafe, and you could see like the 2 girls had set up their camera on like a ledge near the window or something, and they were doing like TikTok dances and they were recording themselves. Again, like not harming no one, but the barista just like seemed so annoyed by it. And I just like,
I will say the only time that I am old and curmudgeonly, the TikTok dances also annoy me. But whatever, you're right. It's harmless.
Like every
it's
generation's
right
been
to have
cringy
their
in
thing.
some
You're
way or
so
another.
right.
It's like our generation, like it's the skinny pants.
No, you're right.
You're just like, or whatever. Like I was guilty of that, but like no one banned me from a space for wearing them.
I feel like it's a little different, but like, no, you're right. I don't think it's an issue. And like if it gets them socializing and hanging out, it's fine. Like they're not hurting anyone.
Right.
It just like, it does seem to be a really big way they hang out together. I just find it weird. I see them dancing.
They're dancing.
I know.
They're choreographing. They're talking about it. They're thinking about how it looks.
No,
in
it's
like a frame.
You're right. It's a good creative outlet. There's nothing wrong with it. I just find it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I can't dance like that. So good for them.
I can't either. I mean, yeah. I think it's silly, but whatever.
No, you're right. It's harmless. It shouldn't be something. Certainly, if you're like outside of the cafe, you're not bothering anyone.
It is interesting though, because it is like a thing that it makes me think about what are the things that I do that indicate like a lack of self-awareness. Because I do think
I know mine.
that is like part of
That's the
this
thing.
whole thing. It's just like you're in a space.
Yeah.
And
they take up a lot of like sidewalk doing it and stuff. That's the thing. Yeah.
But I mean, again, I've never come into a situation where if they are taking up space and it's like where I need to walk and I just walk through, no one's ever like yell at me.
Of course not. You're right.
Anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that were to happen, I'd be like, if that was like a common phenomena where they were like, you're not allowed in my TikTok shot.
Don't ruin the TikTok.
Then yeah, I'd be like curfew.
No,
you know?
No, you're right. It's not an issue. I know my thing. It's not, I guess it is a lack of self-awareness, like on a bodily level. I knock into people all the time.
Sure.
Like constantly.
Yes.
I feel bad. In New York, I was much more aware of it because there's so many more people. And I was like, fuck, I'm like a liability.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like stuff like that. When people listen to shit way too loud on their phones in like a shared space.
I don't do that. I'm very
insane.
sensitive to that. Yeah.
Smells.
I think my main thing is definitely like physically knocking into people.
Yeah.
And then also people.
Man-spreading was like a phenomenon a couple years ago.
People will kind of like, that's still happening on the subway. I was so irritated. That happened to me several times.
I think everyone's spreading.
No, it was always men in my case.
I've seen women do it.
I don't think so.
I've seen women do it now.
Not on the same scale. Yeah.
Okay, what else?
All right, on to Pakistan.
Pakistan.
You got to put in the little audio clip here, okay?
And I love Pakistan.
I would die for Pakistan.
Yeah, I'll do it.
We kind of did it. All right, this is going to be
I like
kind
the
of...
girl who was just like, I can't promise anything, but I'll do what I can.
She's like taking it so seriously, which is valid. She's like, everyone's a little
painted like a frog or
swept up
something.
here. Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
That's funny. There were a lot of them.
Or maybe the boy who loves Pakistan is painted like a frog. One of them is painted like a frog.
I don't remember any frogs, but I believe you. I just remember the audio. Okay, the basic gist of this is kind of summarized by a drop site news headline. Pakistan plays peacemaker while bombing and blockading Afghan civilians. Just kind of wanted to like give a little overview and then kind of wildly speculate as to what's happening. So Pakistan's been hosting and acting as a go-between for Iran and the U.S. Mm-hmm. And Pakistan and the U.S. have a weird diplomatic relationship that's been very like hot and cold, like since the nation's founding, essentially in 1947. The main reason why it's hot and cold is because the U.S. is very kind of good at strategically playing favorites with India and then Pakistan, going back and forth. Mm-hmm. And right now it feels like Modi and Trump's relationship is a little bit more complicated post all of these like tariffs and whatnot.
They
and
both slept with Melania.
Right. What? Is that a rumor?
No.
That Modi slept with Melania?
No, it's not a rumor.
Just wildly starting.
We should start it. We
could start that rumor.
Reporting on it now.
Just had a wild mental image. Yeah. I was surprised that an image came to mind, but it did.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like a lot of back and forth.
What is the reason for that? Because I'm like, oh, they're not really all buddy at the moment. What's the
for Modi and Trump being less? But I think the tariffs have really affected India.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then in terms of the hot and cold for Pakistan, I think it just has been like, there's the Cold War stuff. I don't know. It's always been kind of like when it's convenient for the U.S., Pakistan is like an ally. Mm-hmm. And it often is convenient for the U.S. than it is again.
We kind of keep them on a yo-yo so they don't go too far toward China.
Yeah. Or I feel like in some ways, Pakistan and India having such a bad relationship is kind of to the U.S.'s benefit in terms of playing them off against each other. And like Pakistan and Iran also have a decent relationship, so it makes sense. And like Pakistan and Iran share a border, and the area of like Balochistan, which has been like a site for a lot of political conflict in Pakistan, like Pakistan and Iran have kind of like bonded over handling that. And so like it makes sense in a lot of ways that Pakistan is like well situated to be kind of like a main player here in terms of diplomatic negotiations. Mm-hmm. But it still seems like a weird thing that is being like deeply celebrated. And I don't want to like yuck anyone's yum in terms of like people who kind of feel like they finally have a moment on the global stage. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what that's like to be from a country or to live in a place that like often doesn't feel like it has power. But as far as I can tell, a lot of the reason why Pakistan has power is because like the US is talking. Like it still feels like by proxy and by circumstance of location in terms of sharing a border with Iran, and not like it doesn't seem to be saying anything about like the country's innate goodness or functioning or like operating.
Yeah.
And it is really weird that this kind of, there's so many memes. The Dawn, the main newspaper, or the main English language newspaper, at least as far as I know, has been doing all this kind of like really self-congratulatory kind of laudatory reporting on like Pakistan playing this really important global role. And at the same time, they're really terrorizing Afghanistan, which seems to be like not getting as much coverage. Again, I'm not going to pretend that I'm like well read in Pakistani media, but it doesn't seem to be like seen as an irony. And it kind of is, right? Like on the one hand, they're being lauded as peacemakers. And on the other hand, they're like really hurting their neighbors.
Well, I mean, it's like Trump winning the FIFA Peace Prize.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doing so many wars.
Yeah. And just like a little more context, I think we talked about the strike, right? Did we talk about that in the podcast? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Well, on like March 16th, so just like, you know, recently.
2 months ago.
2 months ago, yeah. Pakistan struck a drug rehabilitation center and killed 269 Afghans. They also have had like a number of other strikes. And this is like an acceleration and an aggressive acceleration of like, I think what is also linked to this trend is Pakistan has been expelling Afghans since like 2023. Over 2 million people have been expelled from Pakistan. And a lot of those Afghans had like fled the Taliban and taken refuge in Pakistan, are being sent back to what is now like a Taliban controlled state. And the pretext for Pakistan hitting Afghanistan is Afghanistan's support for the Pakistani Taliban, which is also called like the TTP, the Tehrik-i-Taliban. So I had like a little bit here I wanted to read that I thought was helpful, because I've always kind of stumbled a little bit on like what is the relationship between Afghanistan's Taliban, which like now is the de facto government, which is horrific, and Pakistan's Taliban. And so this is a Council on Foreign Relations, just a little bit that I wanted to read here that provides some helpful context. Sorry, scrolling. So what's the relationship between the two Talibans? That's the part that I wanted to read. Since its inception, the TTP has claimed to be an extension of the Afghan Taliban. It is the largest militant organization in Pakistan and is designated by the State Department as a foreign terrorist organization. The TTP's development was a byproduct of and again, TTP is the Pakistani Taliban, was a byproduct of the 2001 U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. Pakistani jihadists who had fought alongside Afghan militant forces turned against the Pakistani state after Islamabad decided to support Washington's counterterrorism efforts. Those militants became the early members of the TTP and sheltered the Afghan Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and other militant groups fleeing Afghanistan. Buckling to U.S. pressure, Pakistan's government eventually cracked down on these safe havens, deepening the allyship among Pakistani jihadists, the Afghan Taliban. The TTP is highly decentralized. Its factions have broad objectives to fight Pakistan's security forces, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't know that the TTP or the Pakistani Taliban had this kind of initial genesis, but it makes sense that like the U.S. choosing to support, or Pakistan choosing to support in a number of ways the U.S.'s invasion of Afghanistan would maybe like radicalize and kind of cause this other branch. The thing that's confusing is like Pakistan itself, when the Taliban first came to power in the context of the Cold War and the context of like the Mujahideen who were fighting in Afghanistan against Soviet invasion, like Pakistan also supported that alongside the U.S. So like from the beginning, both the U.S. and Pakistan have helped to shape the Taliban. And even though both nation states have been opposed to the Taliban, as they should be, I mean, I can't say enough how awful the Taliban is, they kind of have played such an important role in its formation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the thing I'm trying to understand that I kind of want to speculate on with you is like, why now? Like, why is Pakistan attacking Afghanistan now? Like, I mean, they're saying that it's because Afghanistan has aided the Pakistani Taliban, but they're hitting almost entirely civilians. It feels like very U.S.-Israel behavior, to be honest, that they're killing so many civilians and not really targeting military targets. And it doesn't seem to have a direct connection, as far as I can tell, to the Pakistani Taliban in a more like, it's an indirect connection in terms of like, well, you're supporting this group inside of our state. So like, why are they doing that?
My guess is just it follows the pattern of your economy not doing well, you blame it on some outside group, and so you demonize them. and punish them, so that it also, while distracting from your ineptitude as rulers, you then also foment like a nationalist fervor that makes it so that people are just more loyal to the nation state than they are to each other.
Yeah, I think that's a really good read. I think also, like, right, if the problem was actually the two Talibans, the Afghan Taliban and then the Pakistani Taliban, then you wouldn't expel millions of Afghans who were victimized by the Taliban and like send them back to the Taliban.
Yeah, and I think increasingly, like, a lot of countries that border regions that have just been totally destabilized and disinvested, the new way of being is everyone's becoming a lot more isolationist. And so countries are just like setting themselves up to be able to exist for a people, hoarding resources while while understanding how to like maintain security at the border.
Yeah, the thing that confuses me though with like, I think it is a smart, and I mean smart in like a, you know, tactical sense, obviously not in a morally good sense, but it is like a smart move to blame Afghanistan because, and I'm sure like Afghanistan has, like I'm sure that the two Talibans do work together, like I don't doubt that, but it's probably easier to display it as like an external threat. Mm-hmm. But like practically, like there are things the Pakistani government has done that have allowed, I mean, including like a lot of what the Pakistani Taliban was able to do unchecked in Pakistan is like, you know, absolutely terrorize minority groups like Shias. And, you know, I think the way that like the Pakistani government has kind of turned a blind eye to that has like enabled that and almost tactically like encouraged it in some ways. Yeah. And so it's weird to like, with the one hand, sort of support this group. And then like, instead of striking the group internally, to go to like an external source and say like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, there's things that have happened within Pakistani society, within the Pakistani government that have supported the Pakistani Taliban's rise, and groups that are kind of loose. It's allowed for like loose affiliations with it in ways that are really insidious. And I think, frankly, like some state policy, like anti-Ahmadi policy has kind of like mirrored that and allowed it to ferment. I'm not saying that's the same thing as direct material support, but I think it is something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I feel like two things. I think one, just like easy to have an external threat than it is to deal with an internal threat. And I think too, I do really think that standards for warfare have just like absolutely hit the ground, like in just such a like way that is being normalized globally and is no longer like one or two atrocities. Like that we could live in a world in which it's okay to bomb a drug center and to then still be seen as like a legitimate peace brokering partner is, there just really is no kind of international order or international relations anymore. It really just feels like power of like whoever has the most weapons.
Right.
And like as awful and depraved as the Taliban are, and they are, and like as terrible as women's rights are right now in Afghanistan, the Taliban doesn't have that much money or power. Like, you know, they're not going to be able to on a state level fight with Pakistan, which is a nuclear power, in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I also don't really know what that means for like apparently India has been like, oh, that's nice that you're doing that. Like, it was just, the whole thing is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to think about in that vein, mostly just kind of like looking at the timeline, was helpful for me, honestly, in preparing for this. And this is also kind of, I was thinking with our conversation with Hossam too, and like inspired by him to try not to put it in too bleak of a way, but like, to what extent are so many of these states like really just kind of proxies for American power? And like, I don't want to say that in a way that like undoes the self-determination or like, I don't know, like that doesn't mean that I don't think that change can happen in a place like Pakistan,
or that they don't have agency in these dynamics. Yes,
because I could say the same thing about ourselves. Like, sometimes I feel powerless, and that's not true. Like, if anything, embarrassingly, we are in the seat of the power.
Right.
But I really just do think that they're kind of like acting in a way that is convenient for American interests. Like,
Sure.
even bombing Afghanistan somehow seems to be like, if not convenient, like not an affront to American interests.
I mean, there's a reason they're doing that and not bombing Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with that thought, besides just kind of put it out there. Like, Pakistan, like Egypt, is like another state that is very much like run by dictators, and like even more than Egypt is a state that is like run by its military. And so at that point, is it really a state? You know?
I think there's a reason why after Israel's genocide like started and just continues is when the US really picked up the internal policing here, and like the abductions, the mass deportation or the continuation of mass deportations, and like just killing citizens, and then going and abducting Venezuela's leader and threatening to do the same in Cuba, putting a blockade on Cuba, etc., and just like acting with just like total impunity. It is because they saw Israel doing what it's doing and everyone unable to do anything about it because they know that Israel is backed by the US military power. And so the US is like, oh, for another country, our military power is like threatening enough that people won't act against it. Well, so certainly people won't act against us, right? And that's true. And I think like a lot of these states, I mean, yeah, the US proxy thing is overused, or maybe even if as much of a cliche as it is, like it is true. And when you're acting alongside the interests of the United States, it's less likely that anyone is going to do anything about it.
Yeah. And then there's this like central irony that like is sort of funny. Like we have all this power and yet like we actually aren't winning in Iran. It's like we've got the capacity for like massive damage to be inflicted, but we don't have like, you still can't just like blindly take over. It doesn't work. It's never worked. It's like an old cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the figure is like tens of billions of dollars have been spent in 2 months.
Yeah. It's a massive,
and that's an undercount.
Right.
Like I think Brown University does like a survey, and it's probably like double whatever that is. Like they're like, this is the most conservative accounting because the Pentagon does not publish what it's spent on the war. And it's embarrassing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, everyone should be embarrassed. Everyone who is just like so gets off on American might and is just super excited when a new fighter jet or bomb is built. You should be embarrassed.
yeah. On that note, I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with being a diplomatic broker. Hope that Pakistan can live up to being some kind of peacemaker by like being more thoughtful about its interactions with its neighbor. More thoughtful is a stupid way to be it. I meant like by not like just bombing the shit out of like people that are already living under a repressive government and focusing on problems at home.
But that's exactly the thing. It's just like these in one area, you raise your standing in the national stage by brokering this. You get credit for it because that helps you cover up things like bombing Afghan civilians.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to sound condescending and I fear that I might, but I don't even know if they're going to get as much credit for it as they think. It's just convenient, you know, like.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
There seems to be this kind
but
of.
the association with the U.S., like it does raise your standing in the global.
Yeah, that's true. And there's like, people are so amused by like JD Vance in Islamabad. And like, it is funny. I get it. Like, it's not a place that like the vice president normally goes.
Wasn't he stood up?
In Islamabad?
Yeah, like did the Iranians show up?
Oh, they were very proud of themselves. They came in at different times and they got equal receptions.
Did they actually meet?
Yeah. I don't remember which iteration we're on now. Maybe there was
okay.
a stand up at one point, but at one point they met.
Yeah, because at one point he was like going there and he was like, well, the Iranians were just like, there's nothing to discuss if you're not going to
And they
accede to
didn't
our
come?
demands.
I don't remember.
And maybe JD didn't go and maybe they didn't. I can't remember. But
Gotcha.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like, I think like I just hope that there's some internal critique that's being maintained at the same time. And I'm sure there are by so many people, obviously. Societies are really diverse, but I would hope it's something, I don't have a lot of hopes, but it's something the government should listen to.
we have some listeners in Pakistan, so if you're listening, maybe try going up to wherever your seat of power is.
I'm kidding. Don't do that.
delivering the
I don't want
message.
you to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's not like we're doing that effectively here.
Yeah.
More just screaming into the void / interesting to think about the parties involved.
Free
and
Imran.
interesting to think about, like, I guess it's interesting to think about the similarities, honestly, of how governments are operating everywhere. And like the similarities are the shitty parts. It's not even like Pakistan's unique in this way. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I feel like we should end on like a happier note, but that was all I had prepped.
Happy 4th anniversary.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.